We're live.
All right, perfect. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us. For those of you here in the Zoom, and also for our members watching our YouTube stream, thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to be sitting down today with Miss Monique Worrell. So I won't do too long of an introduction. I'll let her introduce herself, but if anybody at the end, we're going to be taking some questions, so feel free throughout the event. You can type your questions in the chat. You can send them either to myself or to Diego, our Director of Public Relations, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can put them in that chat as well, or just keep them in your head and you'll be able to ask them yourself if you'd like. Okay, so with that, I'm just going to go ahead and hand it off to Monique. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you guys this evening. My name is Monique Worrell. I am the Democratic nominee for State Attorney in the 9th Judicial Circuit. The 9th Judicial Circuit is composed of Orange and Osceola counties. There are 20 judicial circuits in the state of Florida. Some of them are spread across multiple counties, and some of them are just one county. But here in the 9th Judicial Circuit, we have both Orange and Osceola County. My platform for state attorney is essentially criminal justice reform. In this country, we incarcerate more people than anywhere in the world. And here in the state of Florida, we do it at a rate higher than the national average, which is really concerning because since the 1970s, here in the state of Florida, we have increased our incarcerated population by 300% to the tune of $2.4 billion that we spend to incarcerate people. Here in the 9th Judicial Circuit, between April of 2018 and March of 2020, we have sent nearly 3,000 people to prison for a total of more than 15,000 years, plus 72 life sentences. So we're still doing it, and we're still doing it here. And that is really drastic as far as incarceration goes. What's important to note about that is that nearly half of those individuals are being incarcerated for nonviolent offenses. So when you think about crime in your community and you think that, oh, well, it makes me safer when we incarcerate individuals, the reality is that it doesn't make us safer, and it's very costly. And the racial disparities that are ever present in the criminal legal system really need to be addressed. While African Americans make up 19% of the community, they make up 50% of the prison population. And of those life sentences, they made up 60% of those individuals that I mentioned in the statistics earlier who were sentenced to life in prison. So it would be remiss of me to not also touch on the racial disparities that are present in our criminal legal system. So what does criminal justice reform mean? Does it mean that we open the prison doors and let everyone out of prison? No, it does not. What it means is that we implement policies that recognize what the data and research shows with regard to how we currently incarcerate members of our community, and we do something different so that we can get something different. So instead of a culture of prosecution that drives incarceration by judging the success of a prosecutor on how many individuals they can actually incarcerate, we judge the success of a prosecutor on what benefit they provide the community in their prosecution strategies. Meaning, if you have someone who's addicted to a substance, sending them to prison doesn't address the root cause of their offense. All it does is delay the problem, and maybe not even delay it because drugs are accessible within our prisons. So if we instead try to get that individual into a treatment program that will deal with their addiction, we may be able to eradicate that problem so that that individual doesn't reoffend. However, by incarcerating them, we, within 3 to 5 years, will see them again, and undoubtedly they will be worse than they were when we sent them to prison. So criminal justice reform means addressing the root cause of offenses as opposed to trying to punish our way or incarcerate our way out of everything, because that has really proven to be ineffective. So I will be implementing programs that will do just that, that will change the metrics of prosecutorial success, that will rely on programs that help people to get better as opposed to incarcerating for every offense, and then using incarceration as a tool to build public safety by taking those individuals who are truly a danger or a threat to our communities off the street and putting them into prisons. So I am going to be on the ballot on November the 3rd. The national election is extremely important, and I encourage you all to vote national election. But sometimes people just check the first box and they don't pay attention to those beneath it. And what I want to encourage all of you to do today is to learn about your local electorate, because they have a greater impact on your day-to-day life than the national election does.
Okay, awesome. Now we'll open the floor to some questions. We'll start with all of you here in the Zoom. Is there anyone who'd like to ask a question? You can just feel free to pipe in.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I just want to say thank you for being here. And also my question is, as someone who is in the position for Attorney General in Florida, what are your thoughts on having Kamala Harris as Vice President, as she also served a similar position in California?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first, I want to make a point of clarification, because so many states are different in their terminology and what they call things. I'm from New York originally. So when I told my friends in New York that I was running for state attorney, they thought that it was for the entire state of Florida, which here is our attorney general. That is not what I'm running for, at least not yet. Right now, I'm running for state attorney. And as I mentioned earlier, there are 20 judicial circuits. So there are 20 state attorneys in the state of Florida. Back to your question, which was about Kamala Harris. She was a district attorney, I believe, in California. She also, I believe, served as attorney general. And I think it's amazing to have someone like her having been nominated for vice president. And I was actually endorsed by Kamala Harris. So that was extremely exciting for me. It was before she was the VP pick, but still very, very exciting to be endorsed by Kamala for the state attorney role.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I'll ask now a question from one of our forums. So this is coming from one of our members. They ask, Orlando Police Department's fiscal budget for the year 2020-2021 was $169,800,721. That is a big number. While housing and community development was just over $1 million. Do you plan to take steps to fix these disparities, and do you agree with defunding the police?
So first, there are no steps that I can take to fix these disparities. As state attorney, I don't have jurisdiction over budgets. I don't have jurisdiction over the police departments. The mayor has jurisdiction over the police department and their budget. And you should strongly consider who you elect mayor and whether or not the mayor aligns with your ideology on what police budgets should be. With regard to the defunding of police, I think it's important to address the fact that defund the police does not actually mean to do away with police. Defund the police actually means to redistribute funds in a way that I think the writer of that question is getting at, which instead of having, I think it was $126 million police budget and a $1 million community development budget, that maybe and a $27 million community development budget, because $27 million could go a very long way in community development. So yes, I do of resources so that we can build stronger, safer communities.
Awesome, thank you. Do we have any other questions?
I have a question. Hi, Monique. My name is
Hello.
Gabrielle Hagan. I'm the CFO for College Dems. I want to say thank you for coming and also congratulate you. I was one of the people who voted for you in the primary, so very happy to see you here today. I'm actually an aspiring lawyer. I was wondering if you could tell us about your journey and your history to the state attorney's office.
Sure. So thank you for your vote, and I hope that you will do it one more time in 27 days or less.
Of course.
And congratulations on your aspirations of being a lawyer. I have known all my life that I would be a lawyer. I did not know all my life that I would run for state attorney. In fact, I never thought. I thought that meant being a public defender. I thought that meant being a defense attorney. When I got out of law school, the only job I applied for was as a public defender. And I was a public defender for 2 years before going out into my criminal practice. I had a criminal practice for 17 years while also being a law professor at University of Florida College of Law. There, I trained aspiring lawyers such as yourself to practice criminal law. I consistently encouraged people to become defense attorneys. And the reason I did that is because I knew that we needed good people on the defense side to fight against an inequitable and unjust system. After 17 years, I became an assistant state attorney, but not to prosecute cases. I was asked by the current state attorney to come and lead her conviction integrity unit. Conviction integrity is where we investigate claims of wrongful conviction, which I learned has happened nearly 3,000 times in this country that we have recorded. That means that on almost 3,000 occasions, we have exonerated people who we have convicted for crimes that they did not commit, who served decades of their lives in prison for crimes that they did not commit. 29 of those cases here in the state of Florida were people that we sentenced to death. If planes crashed at that rate, no one would fly, right? So I say that to emphasize how much that really is. In doing that, I developed a desire to sit in the chair of the person who implements the policies, because in studying wrongful conviction in this country, I learned that there are documented leading causes of wrongful conviction and that we are still doing those things. And I decided that we cannot know that certain practices lead to wrongful conviction and continue those practices without also being complicit in the wrongful conviction of members of our society. So that is what sparked my interest in running for this seat. I will tell you, I was a long shot. I was a career criminal defense lawyer and a law professor. When I joined this race 7 or 8 months ago, I was told repeatedly, you cannot win. So far, I've won. We'll see what happens on November 3rd.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Monique. I'm Carrie. I also voted for you in the primary, so very excited about that. So I think we all know about a lot of times when police, they are in these circumstances and they end up not getting charged. And so I just want to know your thoughts on qualified immunity and also your thoughts on police contracts with cities, because I know it seems like every 3 years or so, like these, like FOP, like the fraternal police unions in the cities, they like draft up these contracts. So I don't know, it just seems really shady. And I feel like a lot of people don't know about qualified immunity and also these police contracts. So yeah, just your insight. I would love to know what you think about that.
So I think qualified immunity is necessary, because what you don't want is law enforcement not able to do their job for fear of being sued when they actually make a good faith mistake. The problem that we're seeing, though, is the mistakes that are not good faith and the actions that are not actually mistakes, right? And we don't want officers being immune from that type of activity. So I believe that clear distinctions need to be made between what officers can and can't be immune from, particularly though, with the qualified immunity, the provision that allows officers to not make a statement until they have received all of the evidence presented against them. And the reason I have an issue with that is because no other criminal investigation is treated in that way. Anytime a citizen is accused of a crime, they are asked to make a statement as a course of the investigation. And at no point do they have an opportunity to review all of the evidence against them before making a statement. So in doing that, we have given law enforcement a protection that is not afforded to regular citizens. And while in the course of their duty, they should be protected, in a criminal investigation, they should not receive that additional protection. So that's my position on that. With regard to the renewal of contracts, I think it goes back to what I said earlier. It is important for the purposes of civic engagement and education to understand all of the players involved, right? So when you're talking about renewing contracts and you're talking about unions and all of that, there are elected officials who control those things. And we need to require those elected officials to handle those matters in a way that is consistent with the public desire. And if they're not, then we need to vote them out.
Awesome. Okay, I have another question that was submitted. So we have a member asking you to just explain a little bit more about what exactly the role of the state attorney is and what you think is the some of the most important duties.
Yeah. So the best context that I've been able to use most recently is, as we've all as a nation witnessed the murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor, people were outraged, and we were outraged because the murders took place, but we were also outraged because of the lack of criminal action that was taken or the delay in criminal action that was taken. So the best way that I can explain the role of the state attorney is that it is the state attorney in each of those cases who had a decision to make as to whether or not to bring charges against the offenders in those situations, what charges to bring, and then if a conviction is obtained, what sentence to seek. So that's really important to understand, because whether or not criminal activity is handled in a manner that is satisfactory to the public is largely a part of the state attorney's responsibility. And I think that the most important role of the state attorney is making a decision on what to charge, how to charge, and then what is the appropriate sentence for those charges.
Thank you. Do we have any last questions? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate being able to hear your insight. If everybody could turn on their cameras really quick, I'd like to take a quick picture, if that's all right with everybody. Okay. All right, beautiful. Let me see your beautiful faces. There we go.
Yep, you still got people coming in, Hannah.
All right, perfect. Smile. Perfect. All righty. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Monique, for joining us today and giving us a little insight on your platform and the role of the state attorney. I want to make sure everybody is out there voting on November 3rd. Early voting starts in Orange and Seminole counties on the 19th, and mail ballots have already dropped. I already got mine, so people have already started voting. So
I understand that I'm second. I think my race is second, like under the presidents.
All right.
Is that right? I think so.
I have a
Okay.
Seminole County ballot, so I'm not sure. But if anybody,
Oh, I'm not on your ballot. Okay,
definitely
all right.
make sure that you're voting all the way down the ballot, voting for our Democrats, including Monique, all the way down the ballot. Those races are super, super important. And if anybody has any questions or needs any help voting, you can always reach out to us. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. It is always awesome to be a part of this. And hopefully I am successful on November the 3rd. Please feel free to reach out and have me back because civic engagement is so important. And from, you guys as college students, it's extremely important because you have the largest grasp. So I say, not only do I encourage you all to vote and to vote down the entire ballot, grab your circle of influence, get on your socials, tell your friends, make sure that they get out there and that they vote the whole ballot. And don't just like fill in bubbles, but actually go and research the individuals who are on your ballots to ensure that they align with your ideologies so that we can make positive and constructive change. All of our futures depend on that. So I'm counting on you guys. I thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to be before you. And like I said, if I'm successful, and even if I'm not, please feel free to reach out and have me come back because I want to be a constant reminder to you all of how important it is to exercise your right to vote.
Of course, yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for coming. We will see you. We have our VP debate watch party tonight at 9 p.m. Everybody should have gotten the link, but I'll put it in the Slack again. So hopefully we'll see you there, but thank you all for coming. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.